Welcome to those of you who are joining us to the HCC webinar. We're so glad you're here. We're excited to kind of have a conversation about with some actual HCC members about their experience with HCC and what it's like kind of commuting. This COVID really changed all of our commutes, so it'll be exciting to hear what their experience has been with HCC. Little bit of today's agenda. I'm going to give kind of a quick overview of what HCC is and some of the changes that were made since last year, and then we're going to have kind of a cozy chat with Ellyn, Pruitt, and Denise Humphries, who are graciously joining us today to share their experience with HCC. So HCC, Hoosier Commuter Club, is what HCC is short for. It's a space to incentivize full-time faculty and staff to use sustainable modes of transportation on campus. And when we say sustainable modes, eligible modes are biking, walking, taking transit. If you have a motorcycle permit, you can join the HCC and be eligible for benefits like one-day passes. We have emergency ride home program that I can talk a little bit more about. We also do some gift card drawings, or we do a monthly gift card drawing at random for current HCC members. And your name goes up in our newsletter that we also send out on a monthly basis to share the news that's going on within HCC. But first, maybe I should have you two introduce yourselves. Ellyn, why don't you go first? Maybe tell us what you do at IU, how you commute, and yeah, anything else that you think our viewers would be interested in knowing.
Sure. So thank you, Anna. My name is Ellyn Pruitt. I work for University Information Technology Services. So when I'm commuting, I'm coming over to the cyber infrastructure on 10th and the bypass. I've been working at IU for several years now. I was a student as well. I hope I'm not frozen to you all.
You're good now.
Okay, great. I was a graduate at IU as well. My commuting choice is an e-bike. I recently purchased an e-bike, actually. Before that, I was using a mountain bike, and let's just say the hills of Bloomington. I'm semi done with them just for now. With me, I wanted to, since I was commuting or coming to campus less, I wanted a different option and a way to take the funds I was using for parking to a different mode of transportation. And that kind of encouraged my switch over to the commuter club. So I wasn't a commuter before this year, even though I did make some bike rides to campus before that.
Okay, so you recently took the big plunge. You maybe had an EMS or an EMP before and just decided to go for it.
Yep.
So how, real quick, how long is your commute? Because you said you work at the CIB, but how many miles would you say your commute is?
Ooh, so it's probably about 7 miles. It's 15 to 20 minutes driving. It turns into like 45 minutes when I'm biking, and sometimes even longer than that because again, the hills for me. So it's a little bit longer of a commute, but it's about 45 minutes.
Okay. So Denise, please introduce yourself. How do you get to campus? Where do you work?
All right, thank you, Anna. I'm Denise Humphries. I work in the Wells Library, which I put behind me so everybody can know. I've been at IU for 5 years now, and started the Commuter Club 3 years ago, I want to say. When I first moved to Bloomington, I didn't know a soul. and live too far south of campus to figure out how the heck to get here. But I hated paying for parking. So as soon as I moved, actually, I started out doing carpool with one of my coworkers. And then I moved closer to campus. And so it became more convenient to do what I do now, which is actually to walk to campus. Granted, there are days when like the heat index was really insane. So I have used 2 of my day passes already this year, which I kind of hate. I hate to use them early, but if the heat advisory is that bad, it's dangerous to be out walking in it. It's about just under a 20-minute walk for me most days. I tend to take my time a little bit more on the walk home to decompress from the day and just relax pretty much. And I have to definitely agree with Ellyn. I have a very big hill, the hill on formerly Jordan Avenue that I don't know what its new name is, to get actually up to the library. And it's right at the end of my morning walk. So it's a big one. But it's kind of helping me out because I started doing some 5K training. So it's got an added bonus over there with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of relate to the hills too. I have a hill. My commute is uphill both ways. And I bike up that, and every time I'm going up it, I'm just like, man, I would love an e-bike. I've also been kind of spoiled because recently I've been getting into mopeds, and mopeds are like, that feeling when you're bicycling and you're going downhill. It is like that feeling, but all the time on a moped. It is so much fun. And I imagine it's very similar when you're riding an e-bike. You just constantly can go. So that's wonderful. Thank you for being here. I didn't introduce myself. I just realized my name's Anna Dragovich. I'm the Transportation Demand Management Coordinator and Bicycle Manager on campus. And so what that means is basically it is my job to encourage and enable people to use sustainable modes of transportation like carpool, vanpool, walking, e-bike, moped, just walking, all of those things. And so the Hoosier Commuter Club is a big program that I manage, and I'm excited to share with you all. So maybe Ellyn, I think before we got started here, you were talking about how today you drove to campus.
Yeah.
Could you share with us maybe what your experience was getting those one-day passes?
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah.
So I would say when joining the commuter club, getting the passes was probably the easiest part. It was a little bit of trying to learn of how do I know that I'm actually part, but I reached out to Anna to kind of make sure I was heading in the right direction. In terms of getting the actual permits, I already had a bike permit for my older mountain bike. I'm not sure if that is why it showed up, but the Hoosier Commuter Club option was available to me the moment that I logged in to see the list of permitted options available. And so I selected that. And within a few days, maybe a week or so, my passes were in the mail. And then I went ahead and joined the Facebook group to kind of get plugged in and sure to, I've been getting information from Sustain IU and other information to kind of let me know about Hoosier Commuter Club as well. So that's how I got my my first set of passes for this semester. And so I keep that in the vehicle. I actually use there's an HCC evening pass in there, which I had to work at the Indiana Memorial Union for the late night event they had for incoming students. So being able to safely get myself to campus and back without having to depend on someone else was great. And so today, as you all know from all the rain we're finally getting, it's been raining a bit. And I've been worried about getting my e-bike out there and I kind of have these nightmares of kind of just not stopping. So I said, I'm not writing today. I checked the weather yesterday, this morning, and a few days ago, and the projections for when it was supposed to rain kept changing. So I said, never mind. I will just drive safely to work, and I know I won't have to have someone use their own carbon emissions to come and pick me up just because, I made a decision to bike in.
Yeah, that's one of the new things happening this year is uh, permits are just automatically mailed to the address that you input when you go into the IU parking permit portal, just like you would to purchase any parking permit. It is an option to select the HCC permit. It costs nothing, it's completely free, but you still have to go through the checkout process as if you are about to make a purchase, but your total will be free. And so at that same time, you will put in the address that you want your permits to go to. And we send 12, you get 24 total per year. It'd be 12 in the fall, and then we'll reissue another 12 in the spring that will just automatically be sent to you. But Denise, have you had any experience lately with similarly with having to use your one-day passes or?
I want to put a note out there really
Yeah.
quickly that I love the increase to 24 passes.
Yeah.
I had a knee injury earlier this year and was only having to be on campus 1 day a week. And so I went through my remaining day passes, and it used to just be 10. I went through those really quickly and got in a little bit of trouble there at the end. But so I'm personally very excited about the increase to the 24 a year. But I have already had to use 2 of mine because of the heat index. I have used them before when it rains really heavily. Not honestly because of the rain. I don't have a problem walking in the rain, but as I'm sure you're all aware, Bloomington does not have the best infrastructure where it comes to heavy, heavy rainfalls, and the roads get flooded and the sidewalks get flooded, and I get to work with sopping wet feet if I try to walk in that. So between the rain and the high, what was it, the heat advisories, I've used a couple of day passes. In previous years when it would be snowing or something, my coworker would be so kind as to swing by my house and pick me up on her way in, because I am literally on her route from her house to the library. We're on different schedules these days, so that won't necessarily work, but maybe I'll sneak in a little earlier and save the day pass if I have to.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's wonderful that you have a colleague that will scoop you up like that. That's great.
I had one other thing to add when
Yeah.
Denise was talking about rain. And there's 2 things. So I mentioned that I recently got my e-bike. I am gearing up, I guess you should say, because this is my first year doing full more commuting. So I'm still waiting on my rain gear. I've tried a few local shops, and I could not find both rain gear that was fully reflective the way I wanted it to be. So I do want to wait on those to come in. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. If this would have been a great day because the percentage was so low that maybe it wouldn't just shower on us. But I definitely want to make sure that I'm being safe when I actually get out there. Because from my street, I know I've talked to you about this before, Anna. For me to get out, I'm like just past the city limit. So for me to get onto the Beeline, I have 2 options. One option is to come right out onto a main county road. And so for that, because people are usually zooming past that area, I definitely want to be seen.
Yeah.
Another option for me just adds on a lot of extra time, but it's still on the Beeline. It's definitely next to the creek though. And so again, I still need kind of a little bit extra visibility when I'm in those areas.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely important, particularly when visibility is low, when it's raining out.
I'd love to tack on to that. If that's
Oh,
okay.
please, yeah, please.
The safety thing. So sometimes, as you know, as the year shifts and daylight shifts, sometimes I'm walking to work before it's really fully light out. And not the absolute safest thing in the world, like Ellen's mentioning. I actually have a lighted safety vest. So it's got lighted straps. And the fun part is they change colors. And it's got a reflective belt on it and then a big light in the center of my back. So it makes me way more visible when I'm out and about. And I would not, honest to goodness, leave the house before dark or come home after dark without it. It just definitely alleviates that worry about safety.
How far is your commute again, Denise? I'm sorry if you've already said this.
Nope. I think I gave a time earlier, but not a distance. Just it's right at a mile. It depends on which way I go. Sometimes it's 0.9, sometimes it's 1.3. I don't know what I'm doing differently, or 1.03. Sorry. I don't know what exactly I'm doing differently on those days. Probably the swing by Soma.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'll take you. So we've got a question from Tracy on Facebook. They say, hello, I've had a good experience using Bloomington Transit. I'm interested in using Zipcars to run errands over lunch, but I don't see a way to connect to the IU Hoosier Commuter Club affiliate so that I receive the monthly credits. This is one change that I did want to mention, so I'm really glad that you brought it up. Unfortunately, right now, the Zipcar credit that was available to HCC members is currently unavailable. And that's on the Zipcar side of things. It was their decision to do a pause on that just based on they're updating their computer systems, and so have put a pause on that benefit. That being said, becoming just a regular Zipcar member is still an option. So sorry, maybe just a little bit more information. Previously, Zipcar members were given driving credits just for being members. So you were given credit $9.50, which amounted to about an hour of use depending on the day and time. And you would get $9.50 in driving credits every 30 days, and they'd expire every 60 days. So that driving credit is now unavailable. I'm hoping to bring it back in the future. But like I said, the Zipcar, you're still able to join Zipcar, sign up for an account, go through that whole process and utilize the Zipcar services. You can still reserve a car by the hour, by the day to run those lunchtime errands. So yeah, so you can, so Tracy, to answer your question, you're still able to run errands over lunch, but just get a regular old Zipcar account. And I do want to mention that the Zipcar, I don't know, maybe just anecdotally, it seems like some people think that Zipcar is only for students or that you can only use the ones on campus. There are actually Zipcar pod locations all around Bloomington. You can go onto their website and see the locations, and you can use those. Really anybody 18 years or older can use those. Even international drivers are able to use that, and the gas and the insurance is included. So then we have one more question from Isaac. When will January permits get sent? I would say sometime in January. Sorry to make it obvious like that. Those are distributed by parking operations, and I'm sure once January 1st, once we come back from winter break, that is a task that they will be taking on. So back to our panelists. I was kind of curious while we were talking, I wanted to hear a little bit about, we were kind of talking about practical advice about walking or biking through the rain, what's one piece of practical advice you would give to someone who's starting out with HCC, or just maybe they're not a member yet, but they're kind of dipping their toe into biking or walking or taking transit? What's some practical advice you would give to them to kind of get started? Whoever wants to go first.
So I am definitely it's funny because I drive a car, I even drive a truck, but I'm intimidated by vehicles when I'm biking on the road. So it was a lot for me to take the time to make biking an option for me to come that distance to campus. So I would say if you're ever like at a local bike shop, and I'm sure you could probably get it mailed to you, but I just stopped in a local bike shop to get one of the bike maps that shows Bloomington and Monroe County on both sides. And I use that to kind of plan a route, or, what route I want to try, because I really do not want to be on a road. If it's not like in a neighborhood greenway or whatnot. I will say I have driven into downtown and or ridden downtown, and I've felt pretty okay for the most part, and especially leaving campus, getting onto the Beeline, not so much going up the hill to get across, but um, I it doesn't feel as intimidating, I guess, because traffic is already congested there. So the pedestrian are, it's high there. So I'm less intimidated there. But if you're intimidated by it, I highly recommend looking for those greenways for less intimidating routes.
I kind of want to lump two in together, if that's okay, if you'll forgive me. Give yourself more time than you think you're going to need when you first start. Just build yourself in a little bit of extra time. And since I have been walking just around for years. So make sure you've got the stamina, I guess. Don't push yourself too much. You can totally achieve it. I guarantee you can pull it off. We've got great sidewalks, especially on campus. Lots of good sidewalks around town. Good sidewalks. So you can definitely pull it off. I just don't want anybody to jump in too fast and feel overwhelmed because, hey, that walk was harder than I thought it was going to be. And so yeah, that kind of loops back to give yourself more time so you can slow down the walk if it's feeling a little too much.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love to also tell people, try it on a weekend or try it on a Friday when offices are more casual. So, if you show up a little bit of a sweaty mess, like it's a little less of a deal, or if you want to try it on Saturday or a Sunday when there's less traffic. Traffic tends to go down on Sundays. You can try it then, and then make the destination campus. Campus is really beautiful, and you can kind of enjoy your destination and kind of figure out, I need this much time, or I should have worn this pair of pants instead, or maybe I need to bring a change of shirt, or whatever. So that I think that's really good advice as well. Question from Clayton: any tips for commuting in the winter? I do want to mention real quick that it is 100% okay. I'm giving everyone permission to do this. That if you are a fair weather, we call them fair weather commuters, where you just want to bike or walk, take turns, whatever, when the weather's nice, that's completely okay. You are allowed to come and go from HCC as much as you want. We actually have someone who works in the tax office, and like January to April is just insane for them. And so they are an HCC commuter when it's not January to April. And and they need to come in and out of the office, weird hours during those few months. And they have an EMP that they use during those months, and HCC the rest of the time. So you can totally come and go as much as you want. But yeah, Denise, do you have any thoughts on commuting in the winter?
Get your gear.
Mhm.
So I have accidentally walked in the wrong shoes in the middle of winter, and that was a bad plan. I've got better winter boots now that grip the ground better, and just layer. It's a-okay winter year round. Honestly, I've been doing this during the summer to take a change of clothes to work with you. I mean, toss on a backpack, you're good to go. It's too hot in the afternoon. Can walk in the morning in a pair of jeans, but walking home in the afternoon right now, it's a little too hot. So I take a pair of exercise leggings or something to change into at the end of the day. But definitely the most basic answer I can give is to get your gear in order, and so that you have the best experience, I guess.
Yeah.
I second the extra clothes. I actually just brought an extra pair today, but even in the winter time, and this is years ago before Commuter Club, I have sweated regardless. Biking to campus, it didn't matter how cold it was outside, so I still needed to switch out. So I definitely recommend that.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep a little cache in my desk of, just things I think I might need when I get to the office. So it looks somewhat presentable. I'll continue with good questions. What's the best way to connect with people who might have a similar route to Carpool? Great question, but I do want to take this time to mention a little change from HCC this year is that previous years, people with carpool permits were eligible for HCC, but we have changed it so that people who are walking, biking, who don't have a permit, who have a motorcycle permit, who skateboard, those folks are the ones that are part of HCC. Carpooling, the benefits that were previously given to people in the HCC last year are still eligible for those benefits. And those benefits include the 12 one-day passes per year. But to answer the question directly, I am working right now on an online system that would allow anyone within kind of the IU system to find each other who want to carpool. That system is currently under development, and hopefully it'll be finished by the end of September. So when that is available, you'll be able to sign up for an account, kind of put in some criteria, put in your commute, where you're coming from, where you're going, and find other people who have registered, other specifically IU affiliates, faculty, staff, and students who have signed up for accounts. And that'll be for commuters, but it'd also be for one-off trips. For example, if you have, if you need to get to the IUPUI campus or anything, you can try to share rides with other people who are going to other campuses. Ellyn, what's your experience with the evening pass?
Sure. So the evening pass that I received was just an HCC pass, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you can use it in the non-24-hour EMP, EMS, and ST parking spaces. So for me, that meant that for my event, for example, there's a small parking lot between the public health building and the IMU, and the parking spaces there were not 24 hours, so I could park there. My event was probably from 7 until midnight. I was able to work and leave my vehicle there with the permit inside. So that is the evening pass.
Yeah, and that came directly to your home address with the 1-day passes, right?
They did. Both those passes were together.
That's great. Great. Denise, have you had any experience with using the evening pass or?
I honestly, I was out and about somewhere and needed to park, and it was after 6 o'clock, and I was just like, I'm just gonna put this up here to be safe, because I couldn't remember if that was one of the lots where it was okay for anybody to park on the off hours, or if it wasn't. I don't remember which lot it was, to be honest with you, but it was not a 24-hour restricted lot. So I was just like, just to be safe, I'm gonna put it up and on my mirror so that I don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Good. So did you get in trouble?
No trouble at all whatsoever.
Good. Good. Have either of you taken advantage of the emergency ride home benefit? Are you familiar with that benefit?
I'm not familiar with that. I used years ago. I used to do. There was a shuttle. I can't even remember what it's called now, um, but it was a safe ride where it was a student who worked,
Oh,
and they used to motor pool. Was it motor pool?
yeah, it's been rebranded. It's called IU Ride now.
Got it. And so I used to use that in the evenings to get home from campus.
It's only for students, though.
Got it. So yeah, see, my experience is from the student side.
Mhm.
I know it exists, but I haven't had to use it yet. I'm
Good.
aware of its existence in case I ever do need it, though. So I'm very thankful to know that it's there if I need it.
That's good. Good. For those who might not be aware, the Emergency Ride Home program is obviously for instances when you have an emergency and you need to get home. Maybe you have a flat tire, or you have a sick child. You know, your school calls you and says your child is sick, you need to come, but you've walked home. So you want to get to them quickly, or you need to get home quickly, but you maybe you just need help. So what you can do is you can use an Uber or a Lyft or a good old-fashioned taxi service. You pay for it up front and ask for a reimbursement, and they will get you home, and we will reimburse that cost for you. And yeah, it's really for those emergency purposes. So it's not to be used, for running home during lunchtime to let the dog out. That's not what it's for. It's for emergency purposes, and those are for rides of 50 miles or less will be reimbursed, and you just submit your receipt. The submittal process is on our website, and yeah, we'll get you taken care of. And you can make one trip. For example, maybe you need to stop at the pharmacy, or stop to pick up your child from school and go home, or something like that.
Yeah,
And we'll drop
definitely.
that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I like that because that was one of my worries about doing the commuter option. I am an emergency contact for four God kids and a couple of neighbor kids, and every year I I live up to that need. So to be able to have that option is pretty awesome.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad that it gives you that peace of mind. I think I wonder if that is a barrier for more people. So it'd be good to help spread the word on that. I'm curious to know if you get any feedback from your colleagues about your commute choice or about HCC. Do you kind of get a weird look from them for carrying a backpack full of extra clothes, or what's the sense that you get around the sort of the culture of sustainable commuting on campus?
I am also part of the sustainability group at the libraries. And so my coworkers have gotten very used to me doing all of the weird stuff. bringing my own plates and utensils and cups and taking to-go containers and bringing a backpack full of clothes to change into. And they're not even really surprised by it anymore. But I do have a coworker who will used to occasionally offer me a ride, still occasionally, hey, the weather's going to be bad, do you want to come in early today, kind of deal. So it's been really positive on my end, but I do think a little bit of that might be tempered by the fact that I am very actively part of living a sustainable life, and I put that out there so everybody knows.
So I here where I work, we have a healthy, both healthy IU team here. We have a sustainability, a green team here, and I've got a couple of colleagues that I've connected with that already bike to work, and it's really nice. I mean, I'm really excited for the new Valentine bike location, but I've got to say I'm a little spoiled in that our building also houses bikes so that we don't have to keep them outside. So I think they definitely created a little bit of culture around supporting us having that. We we internally use Slack, and we can talk about things bike related as well. So I think I've actually had people to look up to encourage me to do that. There's a social bicycle club that is a little active, and they try to get together to encourage bicycling, not just for commuting purposes, but just as another way to connect. So I would say it was just the opposite. They kind of encourage it a little bit. So I have not really felt that at all. I'm curious to know if they're part of the program. I haven't really talked to them a lot about whether or not they are also part of the program as well.
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. Yes, please bring them over to the dark side, so to speak, the HCC benefit side of things. One correction I just received: IU Ride is available to students, faculty, and staff now. So yeah, that's great. Great information. So if you're I think if you are on campus late, they'll get you home, but you can search for IU Ride and find more information there. It's not necessarily a benefit of HCC, but certainly a benefit of being a part of IU. And yeah, we'll drop that link in the chat. Looking for questions. One question, Ellyn, I think this is for you as sort of the spokesperson for bicycling here, which is where's your favorite bike shop to go to? Which bike shop do you recommend?
I have always gone to Bike Smiths. I don't necessarily consider it a commuter bike type of store, but I did buy years ago a commuter bike there. I've gone there for my tune-ups for my mountain bike, and when I bought a bike, my e-bike, I just took it there to get it properly assembled, just to make sure that everything was good, since I had a really long extended warranty on it. So Bikesmiths.
Yeah, I will say, from my experience, any of the bike shops in town are good to go for it. But if you are looking for a bike, please just do not purchase from a big box store. Those bikes are made to be, driven, or they're kind of toys. They're of course at a price point, and of course will serve a purpose. However, going to a bike store and spending a little bit extra of money will provide you with just a nicer ride, and will create just a more comfortable ride that will make you want to just keep riding. The bikes that you get at big box stores are just gonna be cheap and not fun, and it's gonna be really uncomfortable, and you're gonna get rid of it in a month probably, and it can be trash. So I would say just go to a bike shop. Everyone there is approachable and very friendly and helpful at any of them in town.
I can add on. I will say
Yeah.
that I've gone to Revolution as well. I didn't necessarily find myself on that side of town, and the bike shop on Kirkwood. I don't know
Oh,
if it's called.
bike garage,
Yes.
bicycle garage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. We've gone there for maintenance and for help and advice there too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're wonderful too.
And then I can't not talk about the bicycle project that's around the corner
Yes.
from Blooming. I've gone there for assistance as well, and I know friends who have gotten bikes from there. Just kids, they're growing through bikes and whatnot. They've gotten bikes there too. So, like you mentioned, any local bike shop, I think in Bloomington's been pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the bike project because that's definitely a place for, you know, bicycling can be a cost up front, but the bike project has, you know, affordable bicycles for you. There's also, I love to tell people about the Earn a Bike program where you can volunteer there for a few hours and basically they'll help you build your own bike for free. So that's another way to get a low cost bicycle to get you started. That one question is the cost of additional permits beyond the 2410 or $5. It is so there is kind of new this year is that people can purchase additional one-day passes to park in the garages. And you have to do that through your Crimson card. They're $5 per pass, and there is a limit of 10, 10 per year. I say that hesitantly because it is also convoluted that I can't keep everything in my head and I can't find it on the website fast enough. But there is the opportunity to purchase additional one-day passes for the garage using your Crimson card. You'll basically put credits on your Crimson card and use them that way. So Michael, I hope that answers your question there. I know that was a question you had. I'm looking for other questions from folks. But I'll ask you, the panelists, is there anything you're thinking that we've missed that you would like people to know about your experience commuting, your experience with HCC? I think you two have really great perspectives with walking and biking. Those are the only representative we don't have is using transit, which I will make sure we have at the next one. But unless you two have any experience using transit, I know that Bloomington Transit has bike racks on the front. I don't know, Ellyn, maybe you've used those if you have.
I have used those with my mountain bike. I just would say, as you're riding, just say to yourself, I have a bike on the front of the bus. I have a bike on the front of the bus.
Yeah.
Too often, I have had to kind of change my day up in my planning to run back into the bus that actually had my bike on it because I forgot it on there.
Gosh.
So, but it works. And what I'm curious to find out is if my e-bike will actually fit on it. That I do not know, so I'll have to find that out and to make sure that the weight limit for those racks will work for my e-bike.
That's a good question.
I also use the buses pretty frequently, actually. Well, not since COVID-19 stuff happened. I haven't been on them as much. I don't know if it's been renamed as well, but the B campus bus is the only bus that goes north on Jordan Avenue. And so occasionally, if I really just don't have the energy to go up that hill, and I happen to be at the stop and the bus happens to come along, I'm just like, hey, get me up the hill, and then I don't have to walk up the hill. But in a more beneficial manner, if I'm going around town, like needed to run over to Kroger or something, just to pick up a quick something, maybe I don't want to walk home and get in the car and go, I'll just hop on one of the buses instead. And I do always use that, oh, what's the bus app?
Oh, double map.
Yes, I always use double map to figure out where the buses are and when they're coming, because otherwise I would be completely lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so handy because you can see it's a live, buses have live trackers on them. And so using that app, you can see which ones. Yeah. Ellen, you've taken the bus too to get them hills. Yeah. Bloomington has
Absolutely.
hills.
Yes. So, jump on a bus at Sample Gates. They're always coming around. And by the time you get onto 7th Street, there's so many buses that hit there. So I either get off at the IMU or the Wells
Mm-hmm.
and let it take care of the hills for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, you two can tell me if this is not true, or if this is true or not, but it seems like the bus is almost the same amount of time or very similar, close amount of time as taking a bike, because I know for sure that I've been biking past a stop at Union and 7th and have seen that same bus and driver when I get to Sample Gates. I don't know if so what I'm saying is like hills, yeah, if you want to hop with your bike on the bus to avoid those hills, it's not gonna take you any longer, and it's totally an option and a great option. I don't know if you two have experienced that anecdotally or not.
I haven't, no. I'm pretty sure that bus is beyond me by the time I get up there.
This was downhill, so that helped me. Gravity helped that day. Well, if there are any other questions in the chat, please let us know. We'd love to answer your questions. I love that IU Ride is available to people. That's great. That's just another option for folks to get around. Trying to think. I guess, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add? It's just like a second chance. What what barriers or maybe even like worries that you had about joining? It seems like I can't remember, we were talking before this, I can't remember who said, they were kind of, was it biking or walking before you were an HCC member? You just kind of did it sometimes and then you decided to take the plunge. But yeah, I mean, what barriers or worries did you kind of have before joining?
I think for me, it was just committing to actually being able to bike. Kind of like Denise mentioned, being out of town or a little bit I'm really south of town. So, walking's not an option. I mean, walking is an option, but that'll be a long commute. Walking to the closest bus would still be a challenge because then I'd have to make sure, I think it's the 2 bus would actually connect to another bus so that I could get closer to campus to complete walking. And with biking, even getting to that bus stop, I still have the challenge of going across dangerous traffic. So even in an e-bike, I have to add about a mile to a mile and a half into my commute to take a safer route to get up to campus. And so the e-bike will just help make the time that it will take to do that mile a lot shorter. So that's what, I think it was just time. Like Denise mentioned, you definitely want to give yourself that extra time because the commute might actually be longer than it feels, and that's just the thing to me. I'm not an early person, so the commitment to use that much time to plan for an hour to freshen up and change clothes when I get here just takes more time. So it's definitely an investment, but I think it's a good investment on my health too. So I'm convincing myself of that.
Honestly, for me, you guys actually took out my biggest barrier, which was managing to go pick up my day passes from the parking permit office previously, because they had those limited hours and that was when I was in the office. So I would have to go walk over on my lunch break. And that was always a really long hike to get back. So you guys eliminated that for me by sending me my permits directly to my house this year. And that was a wonderful, wonderful change.
That's wonderful. That's great. Yeah, just that little bit of extra convenience. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that helped. Well, I want to thank you both for joining us. I'm so grateful for your time and grateful that you're a part of HCC. I think, you know, you are certainly representative of all of HCC, and that just great people who are out there trying to, you know, do part to mitigate traffic congestion and air pollution and take care of your health. And I'm grateful that you all took the time to share your story. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks so much.
Yeah, so with that, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap that up. And thanks to everyone else for joining us today.